The last time anyone saw Miriam Colonzo, she was standing on the church steps, sunlight cutting across her white dress like a clean blade. It was a Sunday. Late morning. The kind of day that makes people trust the world a little too much. Witnesses would later tell us she looked calm. Not rushed. Not scared. She hugged her mother, laughed at something said by a woman from the choir, then turned and walked away with a man everyone assumed they knew. That assumption would become our first mistake. I'm Detective Tabby, and this is one of those cases that still crawls under my skin. Not because of what we found, but because of what we didn't. Miriam was 19. First year at university. Home for the weekend. Her parents described her as cautious, almost shy. Not the type to disappear. Not the type to leave without calling. Not the type to get into a stranger's car. And yet, she did. The man walking beside her that morning was described as a family friend. That phrase came up again and again. A family friend. Familiar face. Someone who had attended church before. Someone who smiled easily and spoke softly. No one could give us a name. At first, the report came in as a delay. Sunday night, then Monday morning. Her phone was off. By Tuesday, the family was at the station, her mother gripping a photo so tightly it bent at the corners. We started where everyone starts, routine checks. Hospitals. Friends. Her university hostel. Nothing. Then we went back to the church. Churches are funny places during investigations. People remember things slowly, like they're afraid their memories might accuse them. At first, everyone remembered seeing Miriam. Then, gradually, they remembered the man. He was tall, one woman said. Not too tall, another corrected. He wore a blue jacket. No, brown. I think he had a beard. I don't think so. Descriptions slid around like soap in wet hands. Security footage from the church gate gave us our first clear look. Grainy. Distant. But enough. Miriam exits at 11:43 a.m. She pauses. A man steps into frame. They exchange a few words. She nods. They walk out together, turning left, out of camera range. That was it. That was the last confirmed image of her alive. We zoomed in on the man's face. Still, no one could name him. Not the priest. Not the ushers. Not even the family. That's when the phrase changed. He stopped being a family friend. He became someone who looked familiar. I ran background checks on every man connected to the family. Neighbors. Old colleagues. Distant relatives. Nothing matched. Then one of the junior officers asked a question that should have been obvious from the start. Detective, what if he wasn't real? We went deeper. We printed stills from the footage and showed them to the congregation, one by one. Some people hesitated. Some squinted. Some nodded, then changed their minds. One man swore he had greeted him before. When pressed, he admitted he didn't know his name or where he knew him from. That's when I realized what we were dealing with. Not a stranger. A construct. Someone who had been seen just enough times to belong, but never enough to be known. We checked attendance records. No match. Checked church volunteer lists. Nothing. No social media photos. No tagged images. No trace of him anywhere outside that single clip. It was like he stepped into existence for one purpose and then erased himself. 3 days after Miriam disappeared, her phone pinged. One signal. Near the old quarry road, miles from the church. We got there fast. Too fast, maybe? Because whatever had been there was already gone. All we found was a single shoe. White. Slightly scuffed at the heel. Miriam's mother identified it without hesitation. And that's where the case stopped being about a missing girl. It became about a man who never existed and knew exactly how to make people believe he did. By the 4th day, Miriam Colonzo was no longer missing. She was vanishing. No sightings. No calls. No ransom. No movement on her bank account. It was as if she had been carefully lifted out of the world, leaving behind only the outline of her life. The shoe we found near Quarry Road changed everything. Not because it told us where she was, but because of where it wasn't. There were no footprints. No drag marks. No blood. Just the shoe, placed near the edge of the dirt path like it had been set down on purpose. That detail bothered me more than anything else. People in danger drop things accidentally. People being controlled are made to leave them behind. We expanded the search radius and pulled mobile tower records. Miriam's phone had powered on once, for less than 30 seconds, before going dead again. Whoever had it knew exactly how long to turn it on and when to turn it off. This wasn't panic. This was planning. I went back to the church footage, this time watching body language instead of faces. Frame by frame. Miriam didn't hesitate when she met him. She didn't lean away. She didn't look confused. She trusted him. That trust had been built long before that Sunday. We started interviewing people not about the day she disappeared, but about the weeks before it. A pattern emerged. A man had been helping older members with rides, offering to carry groceries, fixing small things around the church. Always polite. Always present, but never lingering. One woman remembered him walking her to the gate once. Another recalled seeing him speak with Miriam after evening prayers. No one exchanged numbers with him. No one took photos with him. No one could remember where he said he worked. He existed only in moments. That's when we stopped treating him like a suspect and started treating him like a method. This was someone who understood community blind spots. Someone who knew that churches don't question kindness. That familiarity doesn't require proof, just repetition. We ran facial recognition anyway. Government databases. Immigration. Traffic cameras near the church and Quarry Road. Nothing. Until a traffic camera, 10 kilometers out, caught something odd. A man walking alone. Same build. Same posture. Different clothes. But this time, he was carrying something. A backpack. Light enough to swing. Heavy enough to matter. The timestamp was 40 minutes after Miriam was last seen. No Miriam in frame. We followed that thread to an abandoned staff housing block once used by quarry workers. Empty for years. Forgotten. Inside one room, we found signs of recent presence. A bottle of water. Food wrappers. A folded jacket. Clean. Too clean. No fingerprints. No DNA. Whoever had been there had wiped it down with care. But there was one thing he couldn't erase. A notebook. Inside were notes. Times. Church service schedules. Names of people who lived alone. Observations written in neat, detached handwriting. And one name appeared more than once. Miriam. Next to it, a sentence that still turns my stomach. She trusts easily when spoken to gently. There was no rage in those words. No emotion. Just study. We finally understood the truth. This wasn't a crime of impulse. It was a crime of patience. The man wasn't a family friend. He was a listener. He embedded himself quietly, learned routines, built invisible bridges of trust, then crossed them without leaving a trace. We never found his real name. We never found Miriam. But we did find something else. 2 months later, a woman in another town came forward. She had left church with a man who offered her a ride. Same manner. Same voice. Same calm. This time, she got out of the car when her phone rang, and he didn't stop her. Because she had been interrupted. That interruption likely saved her life. We issued a national alert. Churches. Mosques. Community centers. Anyone who welcomed strangers with open arms. The man disappeared again. Some predators don't hunt in shadows. They stand in the light and wait for you to trust them. Miriam's room is still untouched. Her mother keeps the light on at night. Her phone number is still saved in my contacts. Because as long as there's no body, this case is still open. And somewhere out there, a friendly face is waiting to be believed. If this story unsettled you, it should. Subscribe to Silent Evidence Files for more cases told the way police live them: slow, factual, and unforgiving. Like, comment, and share this story. Someone out there may recognize a detail we missed. I'm Detective Tabby, and some faces are familiar for the worst reasons. Case file remains open.